This week on the Unamplified podcast.
Hello there, welcome to the Unamplified podcast. Come closer. Click the subscribe button now, right now. Make sure you like, comment, and of course, share. We love you. Don't forget that, okay? My name is Andrea Torhee, and I am your host.
The dramatic one has come again. You're the host, Andrea. It's good to have you on set, Andrea. Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia Mbamalu, your host, and my co-host, as always, the dramatic one, Andrea.
Hi.
Yeah, and today we have two creatives in the house. Who do I start with? Matt Jamie?
First of all, I just want to speak on the fact that Andrea just chanced you.
I mean,
What just happened?
Not really.
She said that she decided to chance me, saying like this February.
No, I'm testing.
You are marking
skills.
territory.
She's doing real estate.
And Jamie, it's good to have you on the Unamplified podcast.
Yes, Cynthia, it's good to be here. I feel like I'm about to go viral already. I know once
Yes,
people get
you
this
are.
mic,
You definitely are.
once
Don't
people get
worry.
this mic, they
You
just say
did
stuff.
find promotion
And next
or
thing
Ghana
they're viral.
promotion. You did
Yeah,
find.
no, you don't. See, you have the mic. You have to say lots of stuff.
Let's
and
go.
Zakari,
Let's go.
It's good to have you here too.
I feel twice as honored to be here. And
Oshé.
Momoh, I just want to talk my mind. May nobody hold me. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. Name it, they know say I did.
It's even good, man, that you're here to talk your mind because today we're talking art and activism, and both of you are two young men leading in that space. When you talk about using art to promote social consciousness,
That's
civic
right.
consciousness, I know during the last general elections in Nigeria, I saw some of your piece, or poems pieces. How
Yeah.
do you call it?
Spoken word pieces.
Spoken word pieces, yeah. Getting younger people to participate, talking about the need to participate, and very inspiring. Also, Matt Jamie, I was in a meeting with you the other day, and I was fascinated by a story you were sharing that when I think you were younger than
Yes,
now,
yes, yeah.
and how you brought like young people
Kids
together,
teach them content creation.
Yeah, your mom was helping with the food and the meal.
That's even gone way beyond that.
Can you tell us about that?
So basically, growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in, I was one of the kids that was exposed to content creation at that stage, So I noticed that we had increased rate of violence, cultism, and all of that happening in my community. So I decided to put the younger ones, the guys who were like younger than me, obviously, and then put them together and teach them content creation. I noticed that they would spend hours dramatizing, trying to replicate the Nigerian film they watched and stuff like that. So I started to teach them content creation. But then, there was no space particularly to put them in. So they had to come to the house. And then my mom had to do the extra work of catching for them. And
Can
all
we
of that.
shout out to your mom right now?
Moms, come on.
I mean, moms are superheroes at the end.
But I would say that process has just spawned out some success stories. Like, for example, recently I no longer live in that neighborhood anymore. So I went there to just check. And then I met one of the guys who used to come to my house to learn content creation. His name is Chidera. And he's actually a popular dancer on Instagram right now. And then he was just telling me about how he featured in Kiss Daniel's project, Buga, the dance video, Mayor Kun.
Nice.
And then even this song by Rotimi, you don't need nobody but me.
Okay.
He featured in the video. So he was just telling me about how him creating dance videos for himself and skits got him that placement, and it was all because of what we started in my house where we were doing that. You get?
Wow.
So it's just like little community, helped Chidera to discover himself, and then that's some social impact there. So
That's an amazing story, right?
Yeah, it is.
Let me come to Zakari before I bring in my girl. Yeah. So I know I listened to one of your poems during the elections, and I was just wondering, like, this young guy really cares about Nigeria, cares about engaging on social issues, and I see your post on social media. So why do you care?
A whole lot of things. I can't just pinpoint one particular thing, but for me, I feel I'm stuck here. I have my family here. I have people I care about here. I believe in the Nigeria dream, if there's a Nigerian dream.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. So for me, I've always been conscious. I've always wanted to create impact from being a young guy. Even when I was in secondary school, I was head boy. Then I was like trying to change everything. Let's do it this way. Let's just make it better than the way we saw it. And I'm always of the opinion that if we want to do better than the previous generation, we need to be able to put 2 times the work than the previous generation.
Yeah.
And for me, it's whenever I remember that quote, I'm like, okay, what are you doing today? Okay, you have a voice, you can write, you can talk. What are you saying on social media? Is it positive? Are you encouraging someone for something? Okay, you say, we no go gree, economy no good, this one no good. What are you doing to change we no go gree? And if they give you a mic to speak in the front of a panel or in the front of a representative or people in government, what would you say? Would you now come and start saying, there's bad road, no light? Can you actually articulately speak to them and they'll listen and know that, yes, this person is sound and this person is communicating fact and value and not just words on the street that they just want to say something.
Yeah, number one, I know you're a poet, so the words are just like rhyming, just the guy saying a spoken word today. Yeah. No,
so smooth.
I'm telling you, we're just coming so smooth. I'm like, wow. At this point, we start a movement, I'll follow you. Yeah, no. But I just loved listening to you share, and I know, Andrea, the first time I got your number, the individual that shared it with me. Added advocate, like ART, then advocate. And then she was like, the person was like, oh, because you're a creative, you're in the creative space, but you're also passionate about advocacy. What's your story?
So basically, right from when I was young, I've always been in love with performance, like stage, dance, music, drama, acting, the whole thing. So I used to watch a lot of movies that had impact on me. And I felt like, if I can use movies, if I can tell stories to make impact the way these movies are making impact on me and changing my perspectives, then that means it's happening to other people as well. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to go into acting or filmmaking and performance as a whole, theater also, because I feel like I can use my art to make an impact. The way Jamie did with his guys in his neighborhood. Yeah. Like, even though I can't really, they say we all have our ministries.
Yeah.
None of us that can go to the streets and shout.
We're built differently.
We're all built differently.
Yes.
So in your own way, you find a way to make impact in the society. And how do you do that as artists, as creatives? It's by using your art. It's by using what you know how to do, using your skills, your talents. So
and I'm always of the opinion that this art thing is not as complex. It's not really big the way they think say art. I think what things I must be act, or I suppose to be day screen like Mercy Johnson. I must need to know how to sing like Whiskey. You don't even need to be that. For the fact that you can even simply just speak, it's art.
So I think what you're trying to say is like discovering your voice.
Simple.
The moment you found your voice and you're using it for social good, that's just already you lending your voice or amplifying, somebody else's voice. Because at the end of the day, what we are doing with arts is art has led us to a place where we found our voice. And now we are using our voice, to shed light on these issues. Right? True. So that's just basically it. Even if you have your voice and you're not an artist, if you know yourself, you know where you are right now, what we are doing, what the landscape of Nigeria is, what the reality is, and you know how to approach that, you know your thoughts, how to gather your thoughts together.
That's right.
You do not necessarily need to be like, you know how to draw, you know how to... No, not really.
You don't need to be perfect.
No, not really. You don't have to be a performing artist to do advocacy.
Yeah. I mean, because there was a snap your finger moment both of you just came here to be dropping gems, right? But it just got me because I think it was the meeting we were in where I first met this awesome young man. And then I was just thinking about the fact that there's art in everyone. As a person of faith, I believe that God is like the best artist because everything he made was artistic. If we all come from, if we are connected to this supreme source, being that is the source of art, and
so we are all creators.
So we're all creators in one way or the other. Just how we may do it differently.
Exactly.
And then there are some that have more of the talent than others, but everyone has that art in him or her. And in this conversation, I'll be taking around activism within Nigeria and even within the continent. There's been several stories of young people leading movements. I mean, NSAS is not so far away.
Yeah.
We all remember how young people led that movement calling for an end to police brutality in Nigeria. There was the fees must fall in South Africa. Young people asking that the fees were just too high and most of them couldn't afford to go to good schools. Recently, last year in Ghana, there was a protest against bad governance. And I'm thinking within the Nigerian I mean, these are just a few I'm laying my hands on. Within our context, why is art important for activism?
So I think it's just about, it's like a cultural thing, right? How can we inform the people? How can we enlighten the people? But not also make it like there's a stage and we are teaching and we are being preachy. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So what we want to do is, or what art helps us to do is to be able to integrate activism, or to be able to still inform the people and teach the people, but in a disguise. You know, people already consume music.
Yes.
People already dance. People already go to art exhibitions to see paintings and all of that. Do you get? This is culture. Art on its own, it's culture. How do we use that now as a disguise to blend into what they're already listening to? When they take up their phones and they put their headphones on, when they scroll on the timeline, they already watch reels. It's a culture. So what art helps us to do is to be able to become one with the human culture wherever it is, whether it's in Nigeria, but right now the focus is in Nigeria. We become one with the culture in Nigeria where they consume those things, and you know, from now to the next civic action, we are planting seeds. So while we are planting seeds, once that time comes, it's easier to say, because you've been consuming this amount of, you know, you can now say, oh, influence them to do the right thing, influence them to get their voters card, influence them to
for me, I think it's the power to subliminally affect the mind of people. And art is just that easy thing you can use to do that. The youth demography, you find majority of us on social media. We're always scrolling TikTok, IG feed, watching. Then when we see something creative, we are stuck. We want to see. We want to see what is this person saying. So in the midst of we being stuck in seeing that 1 minute reel or 1 minute clip, it's how you tell your story that now gets to affect us and you sell a message to us. So for example, you want to talk about cancer, or you want to talk about female genital mutilation, or you want to talk about anything, any of these courses, and you start with a creative way and be like, hey guys, let me tell you what really happened in this community, this, that. I'm like, okay, what's happened? And then at the end, you now bring it down to now tell me cancer is really killing the people in that community, and it's as a result of this and that. I'm like, wow. You've sold a message. You've sold a narrative. You've been able to pass a message clear. Young people, if like, come for me. My Instagram handle is open. It's open. Come for me. But our attention span is short. So we need something creative to catch us. So if you want to tell us about civic engagement, come out and vote. I'll not come and start telling you, say, we need to come and vote. Wait. I'll start by telling you. I'll not write a long speech and say, dear members, no. I'll be like, baby, dear. You want to party? Oh, but shade why me that I'll not tell you, say, if you want to change it, you must get your PVC, and PVC in a card. You must go collect them. So that's some simple way to make young people feel that what this guy is saying. And the good thing is, as young people, we have that power to get fellow young people. So for me, if Cynthia is talking to me now, say, come on, I go feel like say, Cynthia, I go feel like but if not Drexx, they tell me, or Hamilton, they tell me now, I go feel say, my guy be this now. I go chop no cool. Andrea, I go like, Andrea, what's up now? I go listen.
You young people.
Yes. What I want to say is also that I would like to add that.
Nice.
You're still laughing.
I'm still laughing now because it shocked me. You know, it's saying when they're young people, they immediately just made me old. They just said, wow, you just moved me to another generation. I'm still millennial now. But anyways, Jamie, you were saying.
Yeah, I would like to add that art helps us to tell stories. And if you look at it, I would want to say that I think we've not thought about this, but if you look at some of the popular films, even like the one that's most influential, Isakaba, Nigerian Momoh Isakaba. It's still a story of people who are having like a vigilante type group, standing up for something. There's some social vices that need these people to come and they need to address, right? If you look at the popular film Superman, somebody who is seeing violence happen, injustice happening,
and then
storytelling. If we use storytelling as a way to captivate the minds of people, just like I said, creatively, we captivate the minds of people. We can't be able to plant any seeds. We can't. Somebody said something about if you want to know the kind of people living in a place, play me their music, what they listen to, their culture. It's evident in what we consume every day.
True.
And the fact that we are all consuming something one way or the other, whether it's from TV, phone, anywhere, radio. I think art has found its way into all of those spaces. I think we can take advantage of that and see how we can drive for a change in our country.
Yeah, and I'll throw this question to everyone. Is anyone born an activist?
I don't think so. I mean, naturally, the humans are selfish. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you think about is yourself. Like,
That's right.
Oh, what am I going to do today? Or what? Then you pray. You pray that as you go out, everything favors you and all that. So naturally,
it's all
we're
about
selfish.
self.
So it's when we go out and we see other people struggling that you can now determine whether do you really have that empathy or do you really care about the next person as much as you care about yourself. So activism or so to speak is like trying to speak out for other people as well, right? Not just for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if this person gets robbed tomorrow, you might get robbed as well the next day. So you're not just speaking for yourself, you're speaking for the next person as well. So I don't think everybody or people are born to be activists or activism is naturally born in anyone. It's it's something that develops with time, and that's empathy that grows within you.
Okay, yeah, Zakari.
I would love to share a classical example. So I remember I posted on my WhatsApp story. I was like, the kids around here just shouted up NEPA, and I know that there was light. That's how I knew there was light. And then someone now replied to my status and was like, it all depends on where you live. That's why you hear people shout up NEPA.
Okay.
No, man.
And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
This person just classified you within a social class.
Thank you, like ASAP. So I was going to reply, but I was like, our level of understanding with this person, it's too far. So if I start to explain now, I'll put a whole speech and this person will still be like, okay, so what are you trying to say?
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, no need to explain it. So sometimes I'm always of the opinion that if you know, not even of the opinion, most times it's like if you know consign you go on pull out.
Exactly.
Right? But if we live like that, that means those up on the top of the echelon, those that are really wealthy, the 1% that are controlling everything, they no go even know say we they exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because majority of us come from that place where they still shout up NEPA. That's the reality. Light comes and people are excited. Like, there's light, there's
power,
light.
Finally.
So back to your question. For me, I feel no one is born an activist. Activism starts from what you see around you, what you want to change, the narrative you want to change, the story you want to tell. Right? So, for example, if you grow up in a very wealthy neighborhood where you get to find everything within an estate, you don't go even know say some people they never see water drink.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't go even know say some people they never even chop. But when you come from a background or you have an understanding, not even necessarily coming from have an understanding of the background or the world around you. By default, you be like, okay, we need to change this thing, we need to change that thing, we need to do this, we need to do this, and also.
I want to say that it's for me. I just look at it as human, and then caring and not caring. So I feel like before you even start throwing the clothes of is this an activist? Are you born an activist? Oh wait, there's a baby come and ask, is he born an activist? Caring and not caring. I feel like what's the environment, what's the natural environment, what it does to us is. It's asking for us to stretch. If a child is born and the child is not taught to, hey, take that one step, hey, take that step, the child will not walk. So the child will not be able to walk right. 3 years, the child is not walking. Why? But the environment is saying, take that stretch. Just like what you're saying, you can be born somewhere, but the world is asking you to look beyond yourself. Look at the other narrative. There's another perspective. The person who is serving you, maybe your gate man, the driver, be curious enough to get. So there's that stretch, right? So I feel like who eventually becomes an activist is that person who takes that stretch and then empathizes with another story or another perspective enough to do something about it. Do you get? Not just empathize, but enough to do something about it.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to see is a world where people are encouraged to look beyond themselves and do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's just basically what makes you an activist.
I think you put it simply well. We're trying to build a world where people are encouraged to care and to do something about it. And I think this is fundamental in even how we engage, because regardless of, like you mentioned, Zakari, regardless of where you're coming from, regardless of your social class, if you don't think beyond yourself, then why are you existing? For me, that's always question. I was like, why are you existing? Most time, why I ask some people like, oh, now them activists. You know, when you go somewhere, say, oh, something's happening, say, you activists, people should take it up. And I'm looking like, you should all care. You should care. If the system works, we all would benefit from it. Even if you are amongst the 1%. If you're the only rich person surrounded by poverty,
you're in trouble. You're a poor person.
You're a poor person. And you would also become the victim, because you can't build all the walls. You cannot go as high as possible.
So let me just say what Tupac said about that. Tupac said this. He believes that one day the poor people become so hungry that they'll go and eat all the rich people.
Well, which is I mean, maybe not literally.
Hold on, let me explain what it means. It means that he said, if, for example, the 1% is in this room and they're throwing a party every day, they're eating, having feasts, and then the poor people come to the door and say, hey, please give us food. They knock. The first day they might be, okay, we just ate this morning, let's ask for evening food. The next day, when they don't see morning food, they come knock again. Hey, please, we not eat yesterday night and this morning, so run something for us, run transfer for us. If there's nobody paying attention or trying to say fix the school, fix this, fix that, what he's trying to say is that one day they're going to come and it's going to be hostile.
Yes.
Do you get?
No, but that's the truth.
Yes,
I feel like it's already happening.
They'll be like where they look palliative.
In a way.
That was crazy.
Because the truth is, what I was going to say, because as it's getting now, it's going to become both literally and figuratively at this point, because there'll be a point where people will be like, you know what, I'm going to eat you, right? Because you've not done anything. But I think for just listening to both of you, I'm just really inspired, because you know, the question is also, how can we get younger people to care? And I'm bringing this within the context of Nigeria, right? You know, I believe that creatives have an important role to play. We do. For those of us who, I'm sure you remember Fela, because you know, it made me feel old. I don't know how young you are.
We remember Fela.
My friend, I enjoy my
maybe
age.
we don't know all of his stuff.
When I talk now, I talk with wisdom. So you young people, you don't get it. But you know, Fela was one of those. And interestingly, he did come from a reasonably influential family. I mean, the family name was the known name. His mom was the first woman to drive a car. If you want to think about it. But if we listen to the kinds of songs, his art at the time he existed, because he's still popular. That was a time of military dictatorship, right? And he used his music to sing about, be it demanding for accountability, calling out government, even about social issues, you know, questioning even the role of religion, because you know that's his song, Suffering and Smiling. So, you know, and I'm thinking, are there creatives that come to our minds that are using their art to promote social consciousness or civic consciousness? That's one part of this. And the second part would be, what can young people do differently? Well, I think there are a lot of creatives.
A whole lot.
But are you asking if there's definitely not as popular as Fela? Is that what you're asking?
No. You know Fela, you know, Fela is like Fela.
Yeah, Fela is Fela.
It's Fela. But I mean, like, anyone you know of, you may not even know the...
definitely. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So right now we are doing arts advocacy. We are doing a program in Lagos. So usually what we do is we go to local communities, we do a boot camp, we put a call for application, and then young people apply, young creatives, right? And then we train them for maybe a period of 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And then, you know, we have them create pieces, whether it's a short film, a podcast, a theater, a piece where they exhibit that at the end of their graduation. They exhibit that to the community, to local government officials and all of that. So speaking about issues they care about in their society. So we have that program running right now, and surprisingly we are partnering with one of our alumni who graduated from a similar boot camp like this years ago.
Okay.
So see now, from just graduating from the program, he's now a partner. I will tell you his story. So his name is Oluwa Value. What Value did after finishing from one of our boot camps was he went to the streets. He's from Ororoshoki. He noticed that there's
That's what
Ororoshoki in Lagos.
Lagos, okay.
It's a slum community. It's very, very like, it's almost like neglected. You get? What he did was he went to Ororoshoki and mobilized other youths with dance. So what they do is, I don't know if you've heard of slum party. You must have seen where people dance in slums, like literal poto mud.
Okay.
Like gutters.
Mud.
Okay, I'll need to.
That's the guy. So the guy is also an advocate and an ambassador of Street Project Foundation.
Wow.
So what he did, he mobilized other youths and used dance as a way to captivate them. And now most of them, from either being a dancer or not being a dancer, are all, they call themselves movement artists. What do? They use movement to tell the story of their community. They were able to get one of their major roads fixed from just dancing on the street, and then they had channels, they had TV stations from France. People came from all over the country just to watch them dance in mud, telling the story of their community.
I love the fact that we dance, because it said talk about the road being fixed.
Yes.
Because also thinking about, are there ways that we can even begin to hold our government accountable, but also to get social goods down to the people, down to our communities. But I know, Zakari, you wanted to.
Yeah, so in respect to creatives or artists doing instrumentally well in terms of using their art, someone I respect a lot is Fowls the Bad Guy.
Okay.
Sure.
Like, I love Fowls. If you go back to that album, I think it's a Moral Instruction. Oh my goodness, that album talks about like, that album is evergreen. Cynthia, I need to listen to that one. I know you've not listened to that
I'm
one.
pretty sure
Hold on, let me just tell you this. That's the closest thing you're going to get to somebody doing a whole album, and it's like Fela.
Yeah.
That's
That
the closest
album-
thing in Nigeria. That's
That
the closest
album
thing.
literally speaks
I'm
about.
sure I know one of the tracks.
Fowls is doing amazingly well. I respect Emmanuel a lot.
Oh yeah.
For the fact that he is, for the fact that he's articulate, for the fact that he knows how to pass his message, he knows his target audience, he knows the people that are listening, and he just have these songs that when you listen, you're thinking, you're like, wow, okay, wow. And then he has a platform, the tax platform, where they do a lot of stuff around this thing. So that's for guys up there, and there are a whole lot of comedians as well too. Macaroni too gets to pass messages as well too with his content. A whole lot of content creators, but up to upcoming or fast rising, I don't like to use the word.
Level.
I'm looking at myself like in the front of the mirror. That's Zakari. That's me. That's
one of those
what's up.
creatives.
That's what's up in it. I'm looking at Matt Jamie. I'm looking at Andrea. I'm like, wow, that monologue I had was super top notch, right? So for me, I feel like
you're not looking at Cynthia.
Yes,
No,
now
don't
the
worry, don't
podcast.
worry.
Our host.
By association.
Our host, literally.
yeah.
So I think being able to just add to what Zakari said, for me anyway, being able to go to Lagos, Enugu, even in Abuja here. Right now we are spreading to 3 other states, Port Harcourt, Abeokuta. We are going there to just, get young people and help them find their voice with art, and then see how they can build community. Because I see this thing about people just charging artists to create content. Yes, people can create content. After watching that video, it will just go. So it's not about artists creating content that would help for activism. What we need to do is artists teach them how to use art to create community.
Okay.
Community app, like we have people who are fixed on this idea
Yes.
where you can meet with them regularly. It needs to be like that. So take for example, Zakari here was the mobilization lead of advocacy movements. He can tell you how they meet once a month, using the art as a tool to captivate other youths to come to that place. And then they meet
safe spaces as well
safe space where they can now share their love for the country and share ideas, ways that they can speak about social justice issues. And that's what we are trying to spread, so that all other artists can see that it's beyond just creating one rap video, right?
Yes.
It's how we can, put together a community in a safe space and use the art to bring them together while also talking about Nigeria and seeing how we can engage them.
And so as we're just talking around building community, because I love the idea of communities. One thing I believe is if we want to see meaningful results, then it's not a solo act.
No,
it's something
it's
you
not.
do as a community.
Yes.
You do it as a people, as a collective.
Yeah.
The saying is there, if you want to go fast. Go alone. If you want to go far, you go with people, right? And what we're hoping to see is that our system, our democracy, actually gets to that part where it's working for the people. And we need a lot more individuals to be aware of what they need to do. And one thing I believe art does is it helps to create awareness, right? Because from awareness comes consciousness, and from consciousness comes action. Because if you're not aware, if you're not conscious, you wouldn't know what action to take. But if you're aware and you're conscious, then you can take action. And so I'm bringing it down to Nigeria now. And I'm thinking, number one, does Nigeria matter?
Of course.
It does.
Andrea, maybe the way you said it, of course you should.
Of course it does, because that's where we are. That's your immediate environment. Is your country. Is where you're from. This is where you're the very first citizen. You're not a second citizen. You know, and it's where your family are. It's where your friends are, and so of course it should matter. It should matter what happens to you. It should matter what happens to your family. It should matter what happens to your friends, to your neighbors, to your friends' parents. So yeah, it's our closest, most immediate environment, so to speak. If people are falling sick because other people are throwing dirt around anyhow, then it should matter, because the next day it could be your mom, it could be you. So yeah.
Okay, let me bring it maybe from another perspective, because it's like we see a lot of people giving up. Like everyone is just say as negative as every comment about Nigeria is almost negative, especially from young people. And I'm wondering, does Nigeria matter to young people, to you?
I think people need to be taught to dream, because there's no trying to shoot for change if everything is okay. If everything is okay, then there's no thing of, we want change. We want change because some things are not okay. The present reality is a challenge. It's supposed to be a challenge, right? So they need to be taught to dream, because what they are doing is they are just expressing their current reality. So the negative you're talking about might be that is actually they are seeing some negatives.
Yes.
Do you get?
No, I know
the
that
difference between us here is that we've caught to a dream. We've caught on a dream, and then what we are doing is we are working towards it. Do you get? So it feels like we are looking at a lot of progress because we are behind. You can see the machine moving. Do you get? They are not there. What they are saying is just whatever the reality. So I think that's the importance of what we are doing right now, because once this goes out, a youth is going to see it, somebody is going to see it, and then they will care more, and then they'll be like, okay, these guys are talking about change. I just mentioned value. They're talking about Zakari, who is a change. They're talking about Jamie, who is doing theater and film for social justice. What does that look like? Let me explore that. Do you get? And then they go for that, to go from just being in front of their reality to behind the scenes. Okay, maybe I can take a role here, just like this office, or maybe I can help clean. Maybe I can help put it together. The camera. They now start joining us as the dream team, right? Because we need a dream team to win.
Yeah, I want to bring in Zakari because does Nigeria matter, and then what can we do differently?
So for me, Nigeria matters. So Nigeria, it matter. It matter.
It matter serious.
Like, young people we are the innovators. We are the creatives. Respectfully speaking, most of the persons or most of the people in leadership or in government now, in the next 20 years, won't be seeing them. You can't cheat nature. It's either they'll go die, or they can't walk, or they'll be aged out or something. They'll retire. So it would not be the younger generation. That's our generation that will be there. In 20 years, I'll be 40. I just really think about that more. So by then, I can now say, okay, I know virtually everybody in power. So what will we be doing differently? So if we have the consciousness that yes, Nigeria matters from now, and we have the abundance of natural resources here in the country, and we start to put our youthful energy together, building communities, building networks, and etc. When we get to, I don't even say when we get to that age, but if we can come together in unity or in camaraderie, any word you want to call it. I feel by then, all these things we are saying, when you rewind back and come to the future, you'll be like, okay, we've been talking that time, now it's now our turn to do it. So what are we doing differently? So for me, it matters because we are changing the system, we are changing the narrative, we are bringing what we want to see. yes, light go day.
Yes.
For real.
Jamie. Yeah.
He said something about unity.
Yes.
And I just want to say that if you ask what we want to do different or what we can do different, is we should include. There's this thing where we exclude some other people. Feel like we are the advocates.
Yeah.
We are the conscious people.
Yes.
We are the people who know how to do activism.
True.
Momoh, see, everybody down to Portable.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Why do you
Everybody,
think that's important?
anybody that you come in contact with, find a way to pass the message of care a little more. to them.
Yeah.
Because we need to include everybody. By the time when the problem go gas, we need people like, whether it's Tasha, who are the popular podcast people, you should know them.
Rodney.
Yes.
Rodney, skit makers,
Every voice counts.
influencers, every young person to see that.
Comedians.
Bro, we need everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly.
So there's so much that we can do on our own, and I noticed that there's this thing of saying that there's the industry and there's developmental space.
Yeah.
Do you get, like, especially when it comes to making change, we need everybody to make change.
Exactly.
True.
So at the end of the day, bringing that mindset and not secluding ourselves from.
And
Or-
unless
or
I forget,
causing
I
that
love
separation.
what the
Yeah.
Amplified podcast is doing for the fact that it's bringing creatives, bringing people in the development impact space. And now there's a new ministry,
Yeah.
the creative industry, the creative economy industry,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I feel now this is the great time, like the best time in our history for us to merge everything. Creatives, impact development,
everyone.
those in government. We now have like I feel like it's we are there, like the line just is small, like we're already
Yes.
there, like we're
Yeah.
seeing them to their face now. We already have this channel that is more closer. We don't need to go through the long letter writing or go through the long protocols and everything. Like
In recent times,
Yeah.
the media influence and power is decentralizing.
Yes.
true.
So influence is going to people who are like me and you. Somebody is there having 5 million subscribers or fans that they can tell, go buy this product. So they don't have to go to TV anymore.
Honestly.
So you see, traditional media is somehow dying, right? So because
Decentralizing. Let's not.
you get, so there's the power is being shared everywhere.
It's
So
true.
from her phone now, she can just speak to 1,000 people.
I tell you.
Right? So at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you want to cause change or you want to make a move that would you want to be heard. Do you get? I don't think we need to should I say take ourselves out of that system.
Yeah,
Or
we need
or brand ourselves in a way where we cannot connect to the rest of the world. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
I
I
have a
totally
question,
agree.
though.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
As creatives, I know the challenges that I face. So what kind of challenges do you face as a creative to like want to put the message out there? However, like I know that you will definitely face some challenges. So what's like one or two that you might have come across?
So let me just say one. Maybe Zakari will say his own. I think it's that whole thing of, they say freedom after speech is not.
It's not guaranteed.
It's
Yes.
not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I think having a meeting that we had with NOA last year, National Orientation Agency, we had a meeting with them last year, last 2 years, and that helped to shape my mind on how to address things that concern government and people in power, how to really speak to them and make the message make sense.
Okay.
But definitely, I think that's one of the challenges that we face is just understanding, the limits. Or rather, maybe the space that we have. We do not understand basically how to use our power. So I think learning that our rights, because for me anyway, I feel like I've discovered my voice. But sometimes I'm a little sensitive when I want to speak on something because I feel like it's going to get me into trouble or how much,
True.
and stuff like that. So we need to be able to.
Yeah, Zakari.
So for me, I feel one of the challenge is not knowing how to channel your grievances or channel your concerns or channel what you want to say. Basically, articulately ranting.
Yeah.
So if you want to say that there is a decline in youth representation in parliament, how do you say it?
Exactly.
Right. So if you don't know how to articulately say it, know the lingua to use to address those in parliament, you do not just meet a distinguished or a minister or a governor or a sitting a senator and you just meet and say Ogasa. You should know the words, you should know the terminologies, you should know how to approach them.
Yeah.
Another challenge for me would be us as the creative. Yeah. Sometimes we are laid back, we want to only create when we feel the energy to create.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it only when you want to do it, then you only talk about issues only when you want to talk about issues and not when you should talk about issues. Right? Yeah. And then another thing, electricity. Make una just give us light.
Yes,
just give us light. Just give us light to be creating content.
That's a good way to draw the curtain. But I enjoyed listening because I think you've all made like valid and very important points, and that is because it takes every one of us to take action. But activism is not like a dress you wear today and take it off tomorrow.
No.
And I think I've heard that from every one of us, that is about conscious living on a daily basis.
Yes, it is.
Because there are several issues that we must engage on. Issues that either affect us directly or affect our communities, the societies that we live within. And Martin Luther King would say, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Meaning that we just need to care. It may not be happening in your state or in your locality, but if it's happening somewhere and you have a message, you have a voice, you need to use that voice to speak up about that. And I just love the fact that this is coming from young people. The fact that you still have hope in Nigeria, because you're saying Nigeria still matters. It's just that the negatives are there, but we need to buy into a dream, catch on to the dream. The word is the way you use that.
Join the dream team.
Join the dream team. Because if we don't have a dream, then we wouldn't know. We wouldn't even be inspired to move forward. And so really, Jamie, Mad Jamie.
He has to be mad.
Yes, it's been amazing having you. Like, I feel like the time just ran past. I enjoyed listening to your contributions, and I'm hoping I'll pull you back on another episode
for sure.
where we'll pick on one of the issues you're currently advocating for.
Sure.
And well, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode.
So
and Zakari,
yes, sir.
our journey has been on.
Yes, sir.
There's this hype you wanted to do.
What up, beautiful people? They call me 2PLIE to the S, to fly Zakari. And I'm your favorite boy for the host, favorite boy for the show, spoken word artist, poet and a writer, advocate for the girl child, brand influencer, aside other things I do on the flip side. And this is the Unamplified Podcast.
You already know where it's happening.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Share.
Yes, sir.
Tell your community. Tell
Yes,
your
sir.
friends. Come down to Unamplified Podcast and get that magic.
Yes.
Make sure you also listen on all our platforms. YouTube, we're on TikTok, by the way, Instagram, and Apple and Spotify.
Yes, so go and like, share, comment, stream, share,
I think you've heard it all. And like we always end, please, we have to cheers to Africa.
That's more like it.
Yes, when you're on, you're amplified. Yes, Africa is great.
Africa is rude.
Africa is